Yes. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Satsang and welcome to all the friends who join us online today, tonight, wherever you are. So thank you for being here. It's kind of always, how to say, we're coming to a place where the personality can have a rest, and we're just here sharing an incredible, beautiful space. And in a moment or later when we have our meditation, you will find, if you kind of allow your antennas to kind of expand a little bit beyond the little beyond the little me, that there is an invisible connection, not just with all the friends here, but with all the friends that are kind of linking into this happening online. It's quite magical. And it is somehow feeding a place in us that is always here, but we overlook it most of the time. And we forget it so easily with the day-to-day business, with the day-to-day activity. And each time we remember, it gets a little deeper. At least this happens for me. It's really the remembering. So what is there to remember? It is that which doesn't have a name, but we call it I. I am. Everything appears and disappears in I. Have you ever thought about that? Like in day-to-day conversation, we say, I am happy to be here. So I is the first, and then comes the happy to be here. Or I hear the night animals. I is first, and then comes the hearing and the attention to the sensory experience. Without the I, without that I, I'm not talking about the ego I, the personality I, that what we unconsciously already speak from, that is always here. It's the only thing, it's the only no thing, it's the only, now language gets difficult, it's the only thing that is stable. I am. And when we dive a little bit deeper into it, we will find it has always been there. Everything that ever happens in the I am comes and goes. Are you having a sense of that? It's like, it's so simple. We hear it probably in every satsang. There's a lot of satsangs online, and there's so many ways to say it, but it's actually incredibly simple. The remembering of the background in which everything of life happens. That points us directly to life itself. So I am life itself. Just feel that or get a sense of that for a moment. You're not any of the content. The content comes, the body comes. The youth comes and goes, childhood comes and goes, old age comes and goes. Everything comes and goes, but the I am, the space, the infinite, the formless, whatever we call it, God, the divine, is always here. And in a way, for me, the longing, when the longing started, what was the longing? The longing to be with the Master, the longing to be with Osho, to be at his feet, to spend as much time with him. What was that? It's not logical. But I found many years later that it was just that recognition of the I am that was easier to see outside of me than within. And now more and more consciousness seems to get a little bit more evolved, so more and more simple people and sophisticated people remember, there's something prior to any experience. And if we translate that to our day-to-day life, or to situations like the crisis with COVID and the fears that happen and the stories that happen and the American voting, I happened just this afternoon, I happened to listen a little bit to Donald Trump's speech. I mean, there is so much stuff happening. Where is it happening? In the I am. Is that which we ultimately are, can that be afraid? Can that be worried? Can that succeed or fail? That's probably, probably why when life kind of becomes challenging, we begin to search more for what is actually making me happy. And you will try many things, and nothing that comes makes you permanently happy, because it also goes. Joy goes, sadness goes, anger comes and goes, love comes and goes. All these experiences come and go. So that seeking of permanent happiness is actually the seeking for that which we already are. That's why we don't find it. That's why I needed a master. I needed to think he has it. And he kept saying, I'm not even here. I'm not a person. I'm a presence. Just get a little taste of that. Maybe you're not a person. You're a presence in which the person comes and goes. And it's so simple. It's like we constantly change personalities. Like just before, there was a guy arranging the chairs. It's a different personality. Now I'm a guy dressing in white sitting on a couch. It's a different personality. It has nothing to do with the real me. It's one of the many roles we take all the time. And who's taking the role? Who is aware of the role? Who is watching this whole wonderful scene every single moment of our life? We can only say I. Now we don't have a Japanese person here, or no. One amazing thing in Japanese language is they rarely say I. Instead of I am hungry, they just say hungry. And then you have to figure out who is hungry, you or me or my friend. It's unclear. It's just hungry. Or sleepy. Or anything. And only if you insist, they say watashi, I. But most of the time they don't say I. But it doesn't mean that the Japanese are more evolved. It's just that the Zen tradition is very familiar with nobodiness, with emptiness. So emptiness is kind of the highest value. So, at least from my side, that's why we are here together. So that which we already are is remembered. And it's so sweet. It's just very selfish for me to sit here. Because it's such a beautiful excuse to remember, no? To remind myself, to remind my friends, to merge into a field of presence that is effortless. And here, I mean, in Satsang, the least effort you make, the more you fall back into Source, into the I Am, into God, however we call it. And then when that begins to look through your eyes, which is actually always looking through your eyes, when you go a little bit behind the content, then you see it in everyone. And then this beautiful mind that humanity has, more or less, finds bridges, finds ways to point through the mind to no mind, through the person to no person, through the ego to presence. And there are so many ways. And here, those of you who come more often, you're already familiar with a little bit with Aurasoma. So Aurasoma is a beautiful color care system. It includes these wonderful bottles, and it includes pomandas and quintessences. And the quintessences for me are an incredible, beautiful bridge from the totality of the absolute, call it God or nothingness or the true I am, into the expression of that through this body-mind. In other words, we all carry wonderful, essential qualities that are waiting or already expressing themselves in your life, in our life. Naturally, everyone, for those of you who have children, you will notice, even if you have two children, they're completely different. They're absolutely a unique expression of consciousness. And when we surrender to our gifts, rather than force ourselves into an idea of what we should do, then we become incredibly creative and expressive and alive and unique and beautiful. Mm-hmm. Now, the quintessences, they attune us to that which is not yet embodied, but it has a fragrance. Mm. How to describe that? Well, maybe the quintessences in Aurasoma, they all have names of masters. And masters actually are not identified with the person, with the personality, but with the presence. And the presence, if you look at different masters, they are so unique. Like Bodhidharma with his wild eyes. And he's a very scary guy. And then Ramana, so sweet and transparent, and Osho, such a rebel, and everybody's so unique, and Buddha so quiet. That's at least our projection, we don't know. So today, when I was tuning in, the quintessence Pallas Athene came again. Pallas Athene, you may be familiar with Greek history. She's the goddess of Athens, the guardian of the temple, the guardian of all the temples in the world, but in this case also Greece. And it is a reminder that that which we are is home in a temporary temple. The building of the temple is temporary. Acropolis is almost destroyed through earthquakes. And the temple of our being is the body. So when we see each other from that place, we see a holy, a sacred form. Do you have that sometimes? That you see beyond the judgmental looking, where your mind says beautiful, ugly, too young, too old, too thin, too thick, and so on. And you see beyond these thoughts into the most amazing sacredness in everyone. With people it's a little bit more difficult. It's easier with animals, no? We had a very beautiful, sweet, it was a very tragic story, a sweet, vaggy wagtail nest just outside on top of a pillar. And the dedication of this mom protecting her eggs, and then the eggs were hatching and the little kids came out, and then disaster struck and the crow ate them all. Oh. Yeah, we all say, oh. I don't know if it was a crow or a kookaburra, but somebody raided the nest, threw the nest out, and we found, only leftovers from the babies. And we all say, oh, because a sacred form has been destroyed. No? So that's why I say with animals, it's kind of, there's no personality in between. But the same is with human beings. If you look a little bit closer, maybe just look around for a moment. See if you can see a little bit of the divine shining through this body, through these eyes. The body is just this temple that is temporary, but there's an eternal presence. And when it is met, most of you have a smile in your face. How come? Because it's recognized within. Palas Athene. So I want to guide us into a little ritual with that. You're going to stand up in a moment and you get 3 drops on your left wrist. And then don't bring it to your nose yet, just rub it into your wrists, and then we go into a little exploration with it, and at the end you smell it, because then the smell is very pure, there's no alcohol, the alcohol has evaporated. Okay? You could all stand up. And make your left wrist available. So now you can raise your arms high above the head and just imagine you are growing wings from the core of your spine to your fingertips. If you like angels, you can become an angel. If you like birds, you can become a big bird. And then you can open and close your wings above the crown. And in the opening, just imagine you're opening to the whole universe. You're opening the crown chakra, which is, if it's closed, we feel disconnected. Now, when we are opening, we feel connected to the whole space. And in the embrace, embracing that same space within. And then you can open and close your wings around the forehead center, the third eye. In the opening, imagine you can release all your identifications, all your projections. The way you see reality is usually a projection. And in the embrace, embracing the capacity to see reality as it is, which is pure awareness. And then when we come to the throat, in the opening, imagine you can open the curtain of all your beliefs. That's what happens in the throat. Releasing everything you believe about anything. And what is left is not knowing. That is the space for the deepest creativity. And then you can open and close your wings around the heart. In the opening, releasing all the ideals and shoulds and should-nots that burden the heart normally. And in the embrace, embracing your innocence, your openness, your tenderness, your love. And letting your hands rest over your heart for a moment. Absorbing the fragrance of Pallas Athene deep in the silence of the heart. And then we can open the wings and embracing the solar plexus. In the opening, releasing all these strategies of protection, of separation, like comparison, competition, judgments, blame. In the embrace, embracing your uniqueness, the joy of being yourself. And the strength, the power. And then we can open our wings and embracing the second chakra, the lower belly. In the opening all these emotional stories that we keep holding on to. In the embrace, embracing the naturalness of what we call the inner child, that spontaneous opening, the spontaneous capacity to feel and express. And then letting your wings open and embracing the first chakra, which includes the physical body, our physical energy, our sexual energy, around the legs, all the way down, connecting with Mother Earth. And this is a good moment to completely let go. Let go anything you know about yourself, all your beliefs, all your identities, all your stories. Dare to give it all to the earth. And you will recognize when everything is gone, you're still here. What is this you? Now when we come up, we can unwind the wings around each other in a backward spiral, like symbolically unwinding the holding fibers of the mind. For a moment, just standing open. And perhaps you begin to sense that your deepest being actually is more like light, like space. And then you can bring your palms together and your wrists close to your nostrils. And taking 3 deep breaths of this fragrance into the temple of the body. Very good. And then maybe you want to open your eyes and just extend that namaste to the friends here. that recognition. Mm. Mm. And then we can sit. So since we spoke about light, I want to dedicate the light of the candle today to the light within all of us, to that which has no name, which is always here, and which gives rise to all the dreams we have, the dreams of of love, of presence, of connectedness, of peace, of silence. And then I'm going to have a guided meditation. So some of you, it's easy to follow the words, and for some of you the words, maybe you would have different words. So don't hang on the words. They're not important. It's more like helping us to move deeper and deeper, or let's say closer and closer to that which we are. And then I'm going to stop talking and we're going to just sit for about 20 minutes. And there's nothing to do, especially, I want to say that specifically to the new friends. Meditation is not, it doesn't have a goal. We're not going anywhere. It's not a technique. We're not using any technique. It is simply an excuse to let everything be as it is. And everything is already. So the isness of things gets perhaps recognized when we drop into it. And if there's a choice when we are sitting silently to follow the thoughts that come and go, or to follow or bring your attention to that in which the thoughts come and go, I would recommend take your attention to that, call it space, call it consciousness. Because there is something about our attention. Wherever our attention goes is where our energy flows. So when our attention moves into thought, we all know this, then the thoughts go bigger. No? They become alive. If our attention moves into a problem, then the problem gets bigger. As our attention moves into space, maybe we feel more spacious, which is more who we truly are. So you can close your eyes and taking a few deep conscious breaths, just breathing in deeply. And breathing out deeply. Yeah, one more time. Deep in breath. time. Very good. Now allow the breath to turn back into its natural rhythm. And just find your own support for presence. What helps you in this moment to be completely present? For some of us, it's by paying attention to sensory experiences that are happening now. For example, we are hearing the night animals and the music. And this is happening just now, so when we really listen, we are present. Or it's the feeling of the body sitting here, the body sensation. Body is always here. And life is where the body is, so as our attention is with the body, we are also more present. Many meditation techniques focus on the breath, because breath is also always here. We cannot breathe earlier or later, just now. And just notice as we are already so much more present, the whole atmosphere in the room gets more silent, more present. Many meditation techniques include the heart, because the heart is such a wonderful doorway to the inner being. So if you like, you can bring your relaxed attention to the center of your chest, to your heart. And the first layer, if you like, is the feeling layer. So we feel a lot of things through the heart. So get a sense, without wanting to change anything, get a sense of the feeling in your heart. Does it feel open or closed? Does it feel heavy or light? Not changing anything, just allow it to be exactly as it is. And you will find we naturally melt deeper inside or closer to ourselves. And we will find there is a climate deeper than the feeling side of the being. And with each in-breath, we can allow the experience of this moment to be like an expansion or an opening, like the in-breath opens the lungs. And then the out-breath is like a letting go, like a melting inside, melting closer to you. And so each in-breath creates an opening, an expansion, and each out-breath is like the movement into that opening, deeper inside. And like this, if you like, we are melting through different layers that our person, our personality is made of. So we are melting deeper than thoughts and deeper than our story. And of course thoughts and story are still there, but they are kind of staying on the periphery as we come closer to ourselves inside. And we naturally, with each out-breath, melt deeper now, deeper than feelings and emotions. And deeper than body sensations. And deeper than the breath. And when I say deeper than, whatever I mention is all here, but it stays more on the periphery. And consciousness penetrates through all these layers deeper and deeper, even deeper than the heartbeat. Until we come to a space deeper than all experiences. This is where the mind cannot follow. But the being is already here, deeper than all experiences. When we look for what that could be, we don't find a thing, an object, even an experience. For the mind, looking from outside, it may appear completely empty, nothing. The mind would call it boring and wants to fill it with something. But rest here for a while. Rest as no thing. And you will find there's peace. Not a created peace. Not a peace that we were looking for. More a climate that was always here, but a little hidden under all these layers of the person. And perhaps in this nothingness we find something that we can call love, but it's a different kind of love than the relationship love. Another fragrance of being. perhaps even a subtle joy for no reason. Rest here for a while, as each out-breath takes us even closer, even deeper, deeper and deeper. And when we sit silently now, whatever comes and goes, let it come and go. Rest as that which is aware. Rest as awareness. Rest as love. Rest as peace. feel this peace. Just feel the whole room full of peace. Feel every cell in the body permeated by peace. Feel the silence. It's always here, behind all sound. Now, in a moment when we gently come back or gently move towards the surface, bring with you that depth, that openness, that silence. That presence. You can take a deeper breath, gently becoming aware of the body again. Until you find a good moment to open your eyes to a brand new moment here. And another deep breath and a good stretch back into this body temple. Very good. Yes, so we can open this if there's anything you would like to say or share or ask, and at the same invitation goes to the friends around the world. We have Steve here who can read your questions or comments. Please feel free. And I know it's always tricky. We went very much into silence, so there's probably nothing to say. But perhaps there is something to say. Yes, come. Hi.
Hello. I thought it was a very interesting point not to start with I'm here, or I have done this, or I think about this. And I think it would be a great exercise to talk and not to start with I.
Yes, try it. You know, I remember in Pune, I don't know if anyone remembers Lakshmi in Pune. Lakshmi, she never said I. She said, Lakshmi is saying hello to you right now. Lakshmi has to go shopping. Lakshmi will meet Osho. So she always kind of talked as if Lakshmi would be some person, which is true, some person. But the me is not a person.
Little kids do that.
Yeah.
My little grandkids have done it.
Yeah.
Now they start saying more I, but they always said their names and then talked.
Yeah. So they're a little bit closer to the truth.
Yeah. Definitely they are.
I mean, if you talk in day-to-day life with people, I was always confused when my translator in Japan, he translated and he said, for example, somebody said, you know, I'm tired, I need to go to bed. And what he heard is, tired, go to bed, and nobody knew who is tired and who goes to bed. So in language, so then, you know, then you have to ask, well, who is it? You? Is it your auntie? Is it your brother that sits here? Who is tired? And then they say watashi or something. No? So in communication, people will feel a little weird when you say, sitting here, hungry, sleepy. But when you talk and when you're aware of it, I think most of you are already aware of this, who is talking, Sometimes it's our ego structure talking, our personality, our conditioned situation talking. Then it's a different me. It's an egoic me. It's a self-centered situation. And then sometimes it's just presence talking. And we all recognize this. When presence talks, then we become more present.
Yeah. Definitely interesting exercise. Okay, I start. Look, painting.
Painting.
See?
Yeah.
Painting.
You're painting?
Sabine is painting.
Sabine is painting. Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Sabine did a great painting. Who is Sabine?
The one who sits on the couch next to you.
Is that really who you are? The body is sitting here.
Yeah. The body.
The body. Are you the body? Are you only the body?
No.
No. So who is sitting here?
A person.
A person. And who is aware of the person?
You.
Then we lose it, no? Then we project it on somebody else. No? Somebody else must be aware of the person. I have no idea who Sabine is.
Me not either.
Oh, good. And we enjoy, no? It's like it's such a common question, but I think it's a really important question. What in me is aware of anything? Who is this me? What, we always say I. And when that recognition of the true I gets closer, I'm trying to kind of give you an example. Like this morning, I went surfing very early. I got up at 5, and I came, driving into the first light, and then I walked up the lighthouse. Like just came up when the sun came up, and everything. It's so easy to see the magic here, in this beautiful environment. It's like there is a fullness of presence in everything that is almost screaming beauty. No? And is that separate from me? No. That's the amazing thing. It's very weird to actually talk about it, that I'm the sunrise. Sounds very arrogant, no? But it's true. No? Or the ocean, or the whale jumping, or we are everyone, all these tourists that watch the sunrise, and when the whale jumps, they said, "Oh, everybody joy." It's a response of totality. It's not just a little person responding to an event. It's just what we think, and yet it's so boundaryless. And the more I feel, the more we become aware of our infinity, the more it feels like grace is everywhere. The divine is everywhere. Everything is an expression of the same thing, the same no thing. So then Sabine, who is Sabine? She's an expression of that.
That's right.
Mm. Mm.
And the beach is so beautiful. I think, like it fills us with joy, huh? I find the beach especially, like, maybe it's just...
That's what we project on it. But ultimately, it's the joy in you.
Mm.
And eventually, at first we project it on outer beauty. But eventually, it's always me. And then that's where the happiness that doesn't have the other side of it arises. It's just whatever is happiness.
Mm.
It's not personal anymore. It's not me being happy because I have the beach. Because if we put the happiness on the beach, then, it's like what we do in relationship. And we put the happiness, oh, I met you, and now I'm happy. And then you leave, and then I'm unhappy. Oh. No? And that happiness, of course, it reminds us of a truer sense of being. That's why we love it so much. But we need to allow it to drop into the formless. I don't know if we need, but it's kind of that's what's happening. And then the whole way of seeing reality becomes actually more simple, because you just see what is. And the moment we are in the isness, there is only isness. There's no me is, no you is, no somebody is. It's just is. Is that difficult? No. It's already is. No?
Yep.
If you want to, one of the things that has fascinated me about Osho and his books, like every book has a pointer of one aspect of truth. So there's one book called "Isness is My Business." A common book is "I Am That." Many teachers wrote "I am that." That is what I can never describe, but it is so real now.
Mm.
Mm. Or the Book of Nothingness.
Mm.
Mm. There's a beautiful book called The 99 Names of Nothingness, which is on Sufism.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too.
So Sabine is going back to her chair. Mm. And the friends around the world, anything to say? Or there's something coming?
Chikabayashi.
Oh, that sounds Japanese.
I got so angry remembering what happened this morning before the meditation, but now I feel so calm. Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful world.
Oh, thank you for following the invitation. Now, the next step for you is then to allow the anger to be the isness, rather than the choice that anger is bad and you shouldn't be angry. And the moment anger becomes part of the isness, anger is an expression, a very alive expression of life, when it's not projected on anybody, on anything. If it's projected, it becomes violence. If it is just simply welcomed in what we are, it's a very hot, intense, burning energy that moves things. So don't be against anger. Be against violence. Violence is unconscious anger expressed to some people. Yeah? Then it gets messy. But we are humans. No? All sorts of emotions come. And thank you for following the invitation to look behind. I don't know if anybody has experienced this sometimes in the secrecy of your own being, that on the surface you were extremely upset and inside nothing happened. You have a sense of that? Yeah, it's like, and something in you wonders, well, I'm so upset now, but I'm totally quiet and calm. That means you're being that which is more true than the story you tell yourself about an emotion surfaces and shows itself. And then we don't need to choose, we don't even need to choose calm versus anger. Osho devised this beautiful meditation, the dynamic meditation. And in the second stage, I think I did it for 20 years every day, if I count everything together. In the second stage, you just go totally nuts, totally crazy. You scream and yell and cry and laugh and go crazy. And there, for me, for the first time, that gave me a sense, wait a minute, there is all this incredible storm activity, and yet the sky is empty. Storm happens in the sky. And I think as long as we are in the body, or as long as consciousness has a body, we are, we keep shifting from one emotion, one feeling to the other. But what doesn't shift? What doesn't change? What doesn't move? What is? And the amazing thing is, the more our attention rests there, the less these emotions have a grip, and then they actually, something changes, and our natural kindness, which is not a personality kindness, it's just the kindness of being, comes more to the surface. Does that anybody has that? That somehow, maybe it's just age, that you become a little bit more kind, first to yourself and then also to others, and what would upset you before massively is...
I think that has to do with consciousness.
Yes, it has to do with consciousness. Absolutely.
And age.
Well, I know many grumpy old people that are actually more like a little kid and not very conscious. So yes, it's both. No? The wisdom of age, which is consciousness, yes, I would agree. Yeah. That's actually, always an ongoing question for me. I'm very much, I love the Buddha, and the Buddha has, the Buddhists have so many teachings. And one of the Dalai Lama keeps teaching loving kindness. And there are many practices that kind of gear into loving kindness and charity and helping the poor, and I'm always wondering, because unless loving kindness arises from our natural being, it just hides the unkindness. Which is, I've been working with that a lot in one of the courses. We've been exploring ideals and shoulds, and if you look into your life, how many shoulds do we have? How many times we tell ourselves how we should be, how we should not be, and then we have a kind of a scale of friendliness or unfriendliness, and this is good and this is bad. But the true kindness is beyond good and bad. It arises from being. So in this way I would say, don't try to be good. It's fake news. Be yourself. And there natural goodness arises. And if it doesn't arise, then you're obviously caught in your personality, your conditioning, your mental story. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm. Steve is preparing. Hey, brother. This is Steve, by the way. Steve has been an old friend.
Mm. How many lives?
Oh, countless.
Yeah. I'd like to explore something.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And it follows up with the I am. We've been talking about I am this and I am that, using that. And I saw something on Facebook this week. Just came up on my post. And it says, never say I am sick. Because when you say I am sick, your thoughts and your words manifest. Right? And I said, oh, okay. There's a level of truth there. And there's a lot of people, well, a number of people I know that are constantly sick. And they always talk about their sickness.
Yes. Wherever your energy goes, whatever you give attention to, gets more.
Yeah.
No? In this way, yes. So I am sick. I wouldn't say, the moment you say never say I am sick, you're already creating such a limitation.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Because then this sentence has a very specific meaning for the person who says it. No? You can also see it if you say I am sick. Could mean there is an awareness of I am in which an ailment of the body appears. If you come from that space, then the I am holds the space in which the body can heal. So it doesn't mean it has to be sick. You understand?
Yeah.
But if it's a belief, yes.
If you get attached to.
If you make an identity out of it, so one way to understand is like the belief, the story we tell ourselves creates an identity through which we see the world. So we project the world from that belief. We all do that. No? That's why there's as many worlds in this room as there are people. everyone sees the world differently.
So I'll just share,
Yeah.
when you bring awareness to it, one experience I had with you, something you taught me. So I was living in Borneo,
Mm-hmm.
and I got very sick.
Mm-hmm.
And some weird bugs in Borneo
Mm.
decided to come on board, and I got very sick.
Mm.
And then I said, I better come back. And I came back, and you said, okay, Steve, come stay with me.
Mm.
Because it was a little bit scary. And then I stayed here with you. And what you said to me, I mean, every morning you were just making green smoothies, and you were basically just saying, don't focus on the whatever label it was, but really just create an environment where it can heal. You know. So I was just with you and just doing green smoothies, and then I was resting, but you said just keep an eye on the prize, and the prize is health. So keep a focus on health instead of sickness. Keep an eye on the prize, which is health, and don't focus on the label of whatever that thing was.
Okay, this is how you understood it, and I'm happy you understood it like this.
Yeah.
Today I would maybe say it even differently. It's like, who or what is aware of the body going through something? Who is that? What is that? And of course it brings you to the same place. No? Like the event that happens is always happening in you. I think we played this game a few times, but for the new friends, it's like, it's very simple, you know. Touch the cushion where you're sitting on. You all feel it, right? When you feel it, can you nod your head? Okay. Now, where's the feeling happening? In the cushion or in you? In you. Same thing with hearing. You hear Rahasya talk in the moment. Where is the hearing happening? In Rahasya or in you? No? So if you go through all the senses, the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, it all happens in you. Is there anything happening outside of you?
No.
Without you, the whole world wouldn't be there. And then when we investigate into what is this you, what is this me, we don't find anything. We don't find an object. But there is a deep knowing that is beyond knowledge that I am. And that I am, if you like, if you give it a name, is space. Yeah. So then what you call sickness, or what we normally call sickness, also happens in that which can never be sick.
Say that again.
Take a breath. Is that too quiet? Is that too fast?
Say that last bit again.
Yeah.
It just didn't register.
How did I say it? It's, it comes and it's gone. Okay, let's try again. Yeah, there's this is cancer. This is hepatitis. This is this and this. And the mind loves that. Now I know who I am. And the danger is that we create an identity out of a label that somebody else, in this case an authority called the doctor, gives you and says, well, you are doomed, you have cancer and you have to do something. No? On the level of being, the being has never had cancer. The being within the being. It's like just like the breath comes and goes, like there's an energy comes and goes. Eventually, this body will die, maybe of some ailment, but that which is aware stays unchanging. Now, I'm saying that, please don't believe me, you have to find it yourself. But the unchanging, when you become aware of the unchanging more and more, then whatever comes doesn't have such an impact. And I think this is what many people somehow naturally discover right now in this COVID-19 crisis. Either they all freak out and are totally scared and get depressed and fight with the loneliness and the lockdown and all these terrible things that are happening to the psyche. Or there's a deeper awakening, there's a deeper recognition, well, who or what can get sick? There's this beautiful story of Ramana Maharshi. I think you all heard it. No? Ramana Maharshi, at the end he had throat cancer. He didn't call it like this, but he couldn't eat anymore. And his disciples, they said, "Oh, you poor man, what can we do? We want to help you so much, and we want you to heal, and we pray for you." And he said, "This is all nonsense. You and me are not separate. So if this body cannot eat, you eat."
Did it work?
Yeah, on that level, because it's only one I, it's one self, it's one presence, it's one consciousness. Now maybe we are not there yet. I don't know if I would be so evolved to say, "Naveen, you eat for me." Some good Indian curry. No? I don't know. I don't know if, I don't want to provoke it, but I have a sense that we can so deeply disappear as a personality that this becomes a reality. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not necessarily a goal, but it's just a beautiful example. No? Because everything depends on your state of consciousness. So yes, I mean, whatever people say, if somebody says never do anything like this, never say this, I actually immediately want to do it. Yeah. Tell somebody not to do something, then he wants to do it. No? It's more like
the words "I am" and then something.
Yeah.
Is that a manifestation? Is it a way to manifest things?
It can be, because the throat is a great creator, and it's a belief. So basically, out of our belief, we create an identity, and then we live according to it. So that's where the famous quote comes back, all suffering is our interpretation. Change the interpretation and the fact becomes pleasant. Drop all interpretation and the fact is simply a fact, neither painful nor pleasant. Just be watchful. Now Osho says accepting and watchful. It looks like the mind can do something, but watchfulness in its totality is already accepting, because there's no antagonism against anything. And we carry the secret key in our hands.
Very true.
So I think, to answer more directly to your question, is question it if this is a strong belief in you. If you recognize it as a strong belief, you know you are aware of the belief, you are not the belief. Then you don't need to follow it. And for me, a very important question always has been, what is here, just now? It steps behind, it steps closer to myself than the story. No? What is here? And you will find the present moment is always more gentle than what our mind can tell us about it. And this is where, if you have an adventurous life, I had quite an adventurous life, then...
You still are.
I still are. I had such a good surf this morning, by the way, adventure. Then I lost it. I wanted to say something really wise there. Yeah. In adventure, when something kind of is really getting dangerous, and you're not following the story of danger, but you're present, the present moment is always more gentle than any interpretation that the mind can give us. And the best example is what Eckhart Tolle, has shared. He's been visiting people on death row, in the prison. They were basically condemned to be killed in 2 or 3 weeks. And many of them wake up and live the last week or 2 in total acceptance and presence and bliss. Because the suffering, the intensity of the screaming mind that has no more escape, they're gonna die, catapults them into the space beyond mind.
No, when you stop, there's no, you can't resist anymore.
Yeah.
So when you stop resisting,
Yeah.
you just become here.
Yeah.
You just come here.
Yeah.
And I had that too.
Yeah. I can
With
imagine.
cancer.
Yeah. So you don't need to become a murderer just to wake up, please.
Yeah.
But so living dangerously, that was Osho's thing a lot. No? Live dangerously, just take risks, step beyond your comfort zone. Not stupidly, but it kind of takes you out of your mind. And then, many adventurers for the first, it becomes addictive because then you're not in your mind, you're present. And unfortunately, then people do very crazy things that are very dangerous. Because the longing for no mind, for being, for presence, for that which we are, I think it's inbuilt in all of us.
That's why you go surfing every morning.
Almost every morning. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you wanna learn presence, the moment you are on a wave, there's absolutely no thought. If you think a little bit, oh, what a great wave, you're gone, you're in the washing machine. So yes, just watch. When somebody says something so radical, you hear the belief. Nothing wrong with the belief, but the belief is usually not true. No? Do you have that sometimes, that that you investigate in what your mind spits out, and you at the same time you recognize it's not true. It's just a story that the mind has picked up maybe somewhere, usually in childhood, or through some conversation or through some event. Until we recognize we are not the story. And there's not much more to say. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for today. Thank you for being here. Remember yourself. Remember that you are before any event. Always. And like that, for me, awareness has a completely different meaning than the meaning that I understood for many years through Osho. I tried so hard to be aware of every moment, when you're eating or when you're walking, all these practices of awareness. And the reality is awareness is always here. Each time you say anything, you can only say it because the I mentions a perception. So you are always, you have to be here. Awareness have to be here for you to express anything. Does that make sense? Can you follow that? So it's effortless. And eventually, when your attention more and more goes to that which is aware, then what appears in your conversation or in awareness is not so important. Like this beautiful poem from a Buddhist monk. Whatever arises in the body-mind has no real importance at all. It's like the weather, like the rainbow in the sky, changing, coming and going. Rather rest at home. So beloveds, next Friday is no satsang because I will be in the Tantra for Couples course. But then the Friday after we continue. And be well. Come again. Thank you for contributing to a beautiful evening just with your love and presence. Have a beautiful rest of the evening. There's tea outside and fresh air and mossies. Thank you. Namaste.